day, everybody. It is Calxiyn here, and if you guys enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe for more The Promised Neverland reactions. Today we are reacting and discussing episode 3. If you guys don't know how these work, this video is going to be my reaction to the biggest moments of the episode, but if you want to see my full-length reaction, everything, that'll be up for patrons with a timer and subtitles, and then after that, we're just going to go ahead and discuss the episode with some screenshots. So if you guys are down for that, let's just get into it. Let's go. Aww. This is so, like... And she's so interested, too! Oh my god, this is so cute! Oh my god, they're playing chess? Oh wow. Hey! He has big brain, okay? Like, Ray has big brain. We knew that. Oh my god. Aww. Oh, guys, they're glad they became friends. Oh, how are they gonna crush us, guys? I'm waiting. I'm waiting for them to destroy us. Oh, well, that's nice. No, you're not leaving. No, you're not leaving, Sojin. You can't. No, no. They're not staying. Yeah, can't you just stay a little longer? They're not leaving. Do they? Like, they're just, you know what I mean? Like, do they really have places to go and be? Like, no. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, but we can see Mr. Minerva tonight. I like that. Oh. No, I don't want them to go. Oh my god. I can't believe it. I thought that I was so convinced. I was so convinced that they'd stay with them. I can't. We got so attached. I can't. No. Oh. Oh. What's that? Ooh. Is it magic? Like, what's it? What's it? What is it? What is it? No! Oh my god, I can't believe they did this to me. I can't believe that they do this. I can't believe it. I can't believe that we just abandon the character. No. No. No! I don't like it. I'm so sad. Well, okay, let's meet again. Okay. Sir. Hey! Sonjun! You stop that! I don't like that face. Oh no. Okay, sounds very sketchy. I don't like that tone that you're taking. Oh, so no, but why? Oh, I see. They only eat what they can hunt. And so if they're natural, he can hunt them. But sir, no, sir. Oh my god, it's because they said we still eat animals. We still eat animals that we can hunt, but we don't eat from the farms, which means that if they don't need to hunt them and they're wild humans, they can eat them. But why, sir? Oh god, oh no. It's good that it seems that she's uncomfortable with that, though. I thought that he was gonna be like, hey, if we let them, you know, go wherever, like, we'll turn in Mr. Minerva, but it seems like... Ooh, what if he kills the pursuer for them, though? That would kind of be fun. Oh my god. Sir! How can you do that to me? Yeah, what if he's, like, killing them so they don't come after that? He's gone into the territory of anti-hero now. Like, he is only killing the pursuers? Oh my god. Okay. He's only killing the pursuers so he can one day in many generations eat some wild humans. God damn it. Oh yeah, so I guess he killed them, right? I don't know if he killed the leader though, did he? I think he did. Huh. Oh! Hello. Oh, okay, so that wasn't just for fun. That's like, oh, secret. It was a secret piano. Oh, okay. Oh god, I don't like this. I don't like this. This is where the shoe's dropping. Oh no. Eek. Oh my god, it's just darkness, okay? Just don't go in there. That's not nice. Maybe it's an escape. They'll probably use that later if they need to escape. I'm just so suspicious. It's the perfect hideout. That's the thing. It's too good to be true. I don't like it. Ray's like, it's safe, it's warm, everything's fine, and I'm just like, no. Oh no. She's just No, what is it? Oh my god, more darkness? Oh, where are they going? No. Oh no. A phone? But what are they looking at? What the fuck? Oh my god, help! What was that about? Hello? Okay. Oh my god, I can't believe that they just did that. I need to look back at that scene again. There's a bunch of scribbling on the wall. That's so sus. This is so sus. All right, everybody, let's get into the discussion now. I really like this scene just because there are cute little details in the background, like they're riding on the demon horse, they're playing chess. Like, I thought it was a nice way to set the scene. But what the important part of this scene is Emma's conversation with Mujika, I think. I think that their bond in this scene really carries through the messages throughout the rest of the episode. And we're gonna talk about that because there were some things with the two of them that I thought were a little sketchy with Mujika and Sanju, I mean, that we'll talk about it, right? And I really like this scene of Emma and her bonding over family in the capacity. Like, oh, that's Phil, that's Sherry. Like, I thought that it was just so cute to see how Emma is talking with her during the scene and introducing her to more of the family. And I feel like that she genuinely liked them, whether Sanju or not. Like, I feel like that he's like in this anti-hero category. We'll talk about it. But I feel like that her characterization really flourished here because it has such a sharp contrast between hers and his. For the time being, she could turn out to be kind of evil too, as far as we know. But for now, it seems like that she was very genuine in these moments, which I really, really liked. And I thought that look at Emma smile. She's just so like cute, and she's also reminiscing for herself as well to remember the people that they left at the house and who they will one day go back and get. And I feel like that was really meaningful. Now over here, we have this chess game where Ray has won. And I think that this is where the foreshadowing to Sanjun's attitude starts to come in, because he says like, hey Ray, like you could be a great warrior with that big brain of yours. Like I feel like that he is starting to see firsthand how smart the kids are and therefore how good the brains are. And so if these are the highest quality humans from the top house, that could produce more like high quality humans. Something that I always wondered is what the father equivalent was to a mother, because you would think that if they want these big brain children, like I don't think that smartness is necessarily passed down genetically, but they seem to think so to some extent. That's why there are these different levels of houses with different quality of kids, if you want to call it that. And so what I'm wondering is like if the mothers make sense, because Emma would be a high quality brain, and then that child would also, like theoretically, if their theory about how all of this passed down actually works. But what I've always wondered is what is the equivalent father-wise, because you think like a father and a mother with an equally like high brain, right? Like that would produce a better result than just like some random sperm that they took from humans 1,000 years ago. Like I wonder, and maybe we should never know, but I do wonder, just because of what Sanjun said later about, oh, well, they'll reproduce and they'll make like big brain humans, right? And so I'm wondering about that. I'm like, in the context of the farms, what were they doing to ensure that in any capacity? And then in this scene here, they're all referencing Norman, and he seems to have some sort of realization because he's looking at Ray, and even Ray's attitude has become very sad and like solemn thinking about Norman. And I feel like that all of this bringing up Norman Norman is for the inevitable conclusion of Norman being alive and returning to them. Obviously, not all dead characters that are referenced in shows come back, but I feel like in this specific way that they're doing it, right? Like if you watch Ruby, like tons of Ruby characters die and they're referenced by the cast, but not this much. Like I think that they have referenced Norman more in these 3 episodes than anyone has referenced, say, like dead Ruby characters who were friends with the cast, right? Like I don't want to spoil for Ruby, like all 5 of you that probably don't watch Ruby that are clicking on this video. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. I'm thinking that these are mostly Ruby fans watching my Promised Neverland videos as well. But you guys understand what I mean, right? Like I feel like that every episode they're bringing up Norman, and I'm like, Norman's definitely out there somewhere. You're not fooling anyone. Norman's out there. And I really like this picture of both of them because it was that picture that Ray took just to divert suspicion. Like they weren't smiling, they weren't ready, they just did it, and that's the picture that they have together. And I really like this. I like that she's explaining to her the promise. And I wonder about her family situation, because obviously both of them are outcasts to some capacity. So I wonder if seeing their family unit and how much they love each other, like what if her family outcasted her? That could be something that comes back later. And I just, look at her smile too. They're just so cute. Like you just want to protect them, but at the same time, like I can't believe that she's leaving. We'll talk about that because last week I was so convinced that they would have a pivotal role and stay in the cast, and I still am. However, like I'm surprised that they just up and left. I thought that they were gonna go and stay with them, but I think that what might happen is there's this realization that they should hang around them, I guess, and then they go back to them, or something makes them go, maybe to warn them, because there is something that I want to talk about with the demons that Sanjun killed later, and I think that that's important. And I like this line, because there's some interesting, I guess, like, parallels to different things here, because she's just like, hey, you're not really a demon at all, and there's a reminder in your head when you see that line. You think of a couple episodes ago when Sanju was like, hey, you should probably assume that all demons are actually bad. But whereas she says that demons are misunderstood. So first Emma says this, demons come in different shapes and sizes, but then she says our appearance has become warped in the last 1,000 years. And so I wonder if this is a difference in like ideology or just, you know, optimism versus being pessimistic. He's like, oh, every demon you see, you better assume that they're bad. Whereas she's saying that the appearance of the demon has just been twisted and that there are good demons out there, maybe. I'm not really sure. And I am inclined to think that this scene is genuine, her with the butterflies. However, I'm a bit concerned because she does turn her back to Emma, and usually in anime, that's like if you're hiding the eyes or you're hiding the face in that capacity, usually it's a lie. But I feel like that she turns back to smile at her, but there's some interesting staging with the lighting, I guess, and it's that half of her is light and half of her is in the darkness. And so I feel like that may be some sort of visual foreshadowing. I mean, obviously the light from the fire is coming from that direction, so it also just makes sense with, like, I don't want to say physics, but like science of how light should work, but I wonder. But she admits that, you know, they're not enemies, you're not food, you're different from other living things. And so I feel like that this has really solidified her, and I wonder if she would go back to the demon world and fight for, you know, human rights, as strange as that sounds. Like, I wonder if she would go back to society and encourage people. I mean, they're already outsiders. They already go against the grain of society by not wanting to eat the humans from the farm. And so that's sort of the reason why it seems like they've been outcasted. But I wonder if they would go back and get into even more trouble if they were like, no one should eat, right? Because it's one thing to say, I don't want to eat the humans from the farms, but it's another thing to say, no one should eat them, and here's why. Like, that's bound to make some people mad, even if it's the truth, even if it's the right thing. So I wonder if she could go and do that. I wonder if that would be her role, but I don't think that it's that either. And see, like, look at this. They're just so, like, they're just so happy, but see, he's looking at them. And so I feel like that this was subtle foreshadowing to the fact that he is, I guess, not unhappy, but that she is obviously getting a genuine attachment, and he's just here like, uh-oh, right? Because we find out his true motivations later, and again, there's some things to talk about. Now with Ray, I was wondering about this because later on they say, oh, I tried some things and I realized that I wasn't able to input this until we get to the coordinates. That was his whole theory. But now he's typing in a completely different word compared to history, right? The answer to the door when they got into that location was history, but Ray is typing in hope. So I actually don't think that these two things are connected. I mean, they're connected. Like, he's trying stuff out, obviously, but because he's putting in different words, I don't think that it's just like, oh, trial and error, I guess hope didn't work when I put it in the system. I think that Ray may have actually found a third thing, right? Because there's three things that we found out. We found the location of the underground, we found how to open up the underground, that was history, that was the word that they put there, and then there's hope as an input. And I wonder if hope as an input needs to be in the underground shelter somewhere. I'm not sure where that would take place, but do you guys understand what I mean? I think that this, even though he's like, oh yeah, I tried out some things, but nothing was working, I think we need to be at the location for the phrase to actually work, but this is a whole different phrase, so I don't know if I'm looking into it too much. I don't know if he was just trying random words, but considering that this is a completely different word, I wonder if Ray was trying to do some third thing, and some third thing will come up later where he was thinking, oh, I couldn't do this before, I tried to input hope, but it wasn't letting me in. But it could let me in the library. Like, now that we're in the underground library, maybe it'll let me in. That's what I'm thinking anyway. I thought that this scene was really nice. Like, it was just cute to see how excited they were about the desert. Now, here's the thing that I was thinking, actually. Like, this is very biblical in nature. It reminds me of when in the Bible, like, there's lots of times in the Bible where they have to go across the desert for a certain amount of time until they, like, find an oasis or find a place to stay, like paradise, basically, right? Or a new place to live where they can thrive. And so it really reminded me of that sort of biblical aspect of crossing the desert for like 40 years or 40 days. It depends on what you're reading, right? Like what Bible story you're reading specifically. There's a lot of deserts, right? But to cross the desert and then at the end result be rewarded with an oasis. I feel like that really is what the shelter is, but the shelter is kind of sus, and we'll talk about that too. But I really like this scene because they're just like, I don't want her to go. And then Ray, what does Ray say? Ray is like, we can't depend on them. True, okay, that is actually true. But then he says, they have places they have to go. And I'm like, where do they have to go? They don't need to go anywhere. Like, they're just traveling people that eat, that hunt in wherever they happen to be and survive that way. Like, wouldn't you live a more fulfilling and happy life if you came with the kids where there's like, piano and art and books to read? Like, it seems like their life is just based on survival. Like, they stay in a spot, they go hunt some food, they eat. Like, what do they even have to talk about anymore? Like, it's only the two of them. And so I feel like that their lives would be happier if they were living in the underground with the kids, because at least then, you get to play some piano, you get to read some books. Like, it seems to be a little more interesting, because I'm just like, well, where do they really have to go? Where do they really have to go, guys? So this is probably going to be important later, so that seems like that is the demon's weak spot. Now, what would be very ironic is if he does not wait until the next generation to want to eat some humans, and Emma or Ray or whoever has to kill him through the very same means that he taught. That would be a nice bit of foreshadowing. I'm not sure, again, maybe she'll kill another enemy like that later and it'll be because he taught her that, but the aim for the center of their face right at the eyes, like, all I can imagine is that he's chasing them because, he's fallen into sin. Like, he's just like, fuck the religion, and he just, does whatever and goes after them, and Emma has to kill the very person who taught her how to kill. Like, it's a very, it's a story as old as time, like having to kill your mentor and everything. So I feel like that it could really come up again. And look at this, like, they're hugging. Like, I thought that was just so nice, and then she just looks so happy. But I like this, because this is where the theory brain in me starts going. So, it's a secret, first of all. Like, that's kind of fun. I wonder if she'll actually tell anyone else. But it looks like an eye. And it also, I'm not sure what's in it exactly. It kind of looks, I don't know, it just looks magical, but it looks like an eyeball. Like, it looks like that this is supposed to be the eye, and then this is supposed to be like the inside of the eye, like the, the color of the eye, what the floating things are, I don't quite understand. Like, they just sort of look like magic, you know, shiny, like something that you draw on something else to make it look like shiny and it has texture. Like, I don't know if these necessarily mean anything. Though this does remind me of the Morse code for some reason, but I doubt that that's actually anything. But I wonder what sort of magic this has, because we have demons, okay? We have technology, but do we have, like, magic? Like, I'm inclined to say that there is magic going on. And so I wonder what that magic will be like, what that will consist of, and how this will protect her. I feel like something that we should consider is the fact that maybe this won't protect Emma, but this will let them track Emma and them at a later time. I mean, they technically know where they are, right? They know that they're going to those coordinates, so they could always go themselves if they wanted to see them later. But I wonder if, just in case they ever left the underground and Emma was in danger, they could pop back up again. Like, it's some sort of technological tracking device versus a magical amulet. But I am inclined to think that it's magic. I don't know what sort of magic it'll provide, so I'm not really sure. Like, we haven't seen magic in the show yet, and so we don't know, like, is this for strength? Like, could this help her kill a demon if she needed to? Could this be used against a demon? We don't really know. Could this mask you from a demon, turn you invisible? Like, there are so many potentialities of how this could protect her, and so I really don't have any particular idea. And we've also never seen any hints to that, I don't think. Like, I don't think that there was any foreshadowing to this unless I missed it, which does happen, given that I'm, you know, a human being capable of making mistakes, but it just seems a little, like, out of nowhere, and so I just wonder about it. So I have some thoughts about this whole conversation, but the first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that she says if we turn them into the farm, we could live comfortably for at least 6 months. And so that is making me think, in combination with the timeline, right? Because he says last episode, like, hey, I don't know where you got 30 years from, but it's actually been this way for like 1,000 years. I no longer think that Emma and them are the first group of kids to have escaped from a farm. Probably maybe a group, but at least not the first individuals. And I feel like that's different. Like, imagine like one kid escapes and finds Minerva. Fine, whatever. But like a whole group of kids, like that may be a bit more but at the same time, why would there be this rule in place? Why would she know that they could get something for turning them in if this has never been a problem before? So I'm now thinking that Emma's group is not the only group that has ever escaped. That is basically what I'm thinking. Because at first I really did. Like, at first I thought, oh, well, Emma's group seems to be like the first people that they escaped, but it doesn't seem like that is the case anymore. Because I feel like that you don't put rules like this in place unless it's happened like once, right? Like, usually there are things that we don't think of. If they thought, hey, kids escaping from the farm, impossible, never happening, right? They wouldn't even think to put a rule in like this. But either they thought one or two things. That A, the farm is somehow infallible and they knew that at some point these kids with the big brains would be smart enough to get out and run away. Like, either they thought that this was inevitability that would eventually happen given the fact that they are breeding kids specifically for their intelligence, or they thought that it's happened before, so why don't we put in the rule, like, hey, if you see any humans, go back and turn them in. So I'm thinking that it's more like that. I'm thinking that people have escaped before, because why else would there be, like, basically a bounty in place? Because I don't think that there's a bounty, I mean, there is a bounty for them specifically, but at the same time, they wouldn't know that, or they wouldn't know how much money it is, because they haven't been in contact with anyone else. What they would know is a general rule in society, or a law, or a general bounty, like, hey, if you ever saw some kids, turn them into us and we'll give you this amount. Like, I wonder if this is more common than we think it is, because why? I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking that, but there's no way for them to have known the specific bounty that the kids were going for, because I don't think that they genuinely heard of the kids or were close to society to hear, like, oh my god, did you hear? Those kids from the farm, they escaped. they would have to know that this is a pre-established rule in society that if you turn in some humans, you get some money or you get some food or something like that. So that's basically what I'm thinking, is that this is not the first time that humans have escaped. Let's talk about this scene, because this is a great way to make a character very multifaceted, and it's just so like, like I just want to be like, why? Like, why did he do that? Because I love him so much, but I guess it's very compelling because he's an anti-hero. Like, at the same, like, first of all, he still wants to eat the humans, so on one level he's bad, but then on the other hand, he's also like helped them in all these ways, but he's helped them for his own selfish gain. So it's very interesting how things have gone into being not so black and white in the anime, right? And I feel like that it's always done that. You've had compelling villains like Isabel. You've had those compelling antagonists where you feel bad for her even though she is the bad guy. And so I feel like that it's almost the reverse here, is that we got to know this guy, we thought he was a good guy, but now we're finding out he's kind of a sus guy, but at the same time, he's still protecting them. So it's in that weird in-between stage. I feel like this line is evidence that she is seeing the kids as people, as individuals versus animals. Because I feel like that you don't really say like, oh, like my cat is so hardworking, like, or something like that. Oh yeah, like my cat is such a kind cat. Like those are very human attributes. Like animals can be hardworking, but you don't usually, right? Like animals are hardworking because they are on instinct to be hardworking versus making the conscious, like, emotional and mental effort every day. Like, my dog does not wake up and think, damn, I gotta do my homework so I can, you know, get into a good university, so I can have a good job, so I must work hard, right? Or things like that. Like, your animal does not think that. They may be hardworking through instinct, but they are not hardworking through the actual, like, intellectual thought, I guess. And then kind, like, animals can be friendly, but kind, I feel like, again, to be kind in a, like, you choose to be kind, I think. Obviously, it comes from a place of a genuine want to be a good person, but I think that kindness is very much so a choice. Like, it's a conscious effort to choose kindness over choosing, you know, like, anger or annoyance or frustration. Like, basically, I think that kindness and patience, like, that is something that you have as a skill. Like, I think that that's how I think of it anyway. And so I feel like that she's attributing very individualistic character traits that you would not put on an animal onto a human. Whereas he says smart. Like, I think that animals can certainly be smart. And so I feel like that this is where we start getting like, so this is where we get back into food, the brains of a top-class farm. And then she seems to be genuinely shocked with him. And I really wonder about their backstory. Like, how did they particularly meet out of, you know, everybody, I guess? Like, why are them two on their own? Like, you think that there would be other members of society who are also non-human eaters or do not support the farm. So I wonder about their backstory and why specifically they chose to travel together. She seems genuinely shocked at his behavior. I don't think that they're strangers. Like, I think that they've known each other for a long time. And then he's like, hey, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna eat them, but if they can breed outside the farms, the next generation and on will be wild humans. They'll be natural. And so you guys can already see where this is going, and this is where I'm like, right, this is so bad. And if the naturals increase, we'll be able to hunt and eat them eventually. And so she's like, you want to eat humans? This is where the divide comes in, because I feel like that for her, not eating humans may have been rooted in some sort of recognition of knowing that they were people, and I don't think that maybe that was her original reason for going against the farms, but I think that that is her current reason. I think that it's more than, oh, I'm just following my religion, or, oh, I just don't support the farms. I think that she now recognizes humans as having the same level of personhood or consciousness as a demon would, and so if you wouldn't eat a demon, because that would be cannibalism, or at least we hope that they're not eating demons, right? Like, you wouldn't eat a human either. It's like if we ran into an alien race that was the exact same capacity as we are as human beings, we wouldn't eat them, because it's like, but they're a person. Like, you can't eat other people, right? That's our whole, you know, most people's morality, right? Hopefully, like, 99% of people. Suffice to say, I think that the reason why she does not want to eat humans anymore is because she has met a human and realized that the humans are at the same level as her. But see, the difference between them is that I think for her, it's humans first, religion second now, but for him, it's religion first. And so that's the thing, is that he has found a loophole to his religion. According to the doctrine of the original faith, it doesn't go against the gods to take the lives of their creations in the name of hunting. So his whole thing is that the farms are wrong because we do not take lives unless we are to hunt. You are not hunting in a farm. That is not, that's not good. That's not nice. And so that's why they were against, this religion is against the farms, because the only acceptable way to kill another living thing is hunting them out in their natural habitat, out in the wild. However, what he is saying is, that is the only thing that is stopping me from eating any humans is my religion. If the humans were no longer in the farms and they were natural, the same as, I don't know what creatures they have anymore, but the same as squirrels and bears and moose, right? If humans were roaming around the same as a moose, that's no different to me, and I could eat a human. That is basically what he's saying, and I'm just like, sir, how can you do this to me? If they're natural, I'll eat them. I can't wait for the day when I can eat as many humans as I want. So that's the thing, is that for her, she sees them as people, and so I feel like that she is more dissuaded from eating any of them. But he is just focused on the religion. He's focused on following the religion, and so if he's like, ha ha ha, I can still follow the religion after all, that's what he cares about. So I feel like that's a very interesting concept. And this is where the anti-hero thing comes in, because he then goes to kill the pursuers. At least I think that's what he's doing. He goes to kill the pursuers, but he does it out of his own selfish motivation. He is killing the pursuers for the purpose of making sure that he can one day eat these wild humans. I need to keep Emma and Ray and the kids alive, because if they die or get taken back to the farm by the pursuers, I will never get to eat a human. So it's very twisted motivations of this man. Very interesting, because on one hand, he's saving the kids. He went to go kill the pursuers. I think that they're all dead. Now, whether they have cell phones and gave a call to HQ and told them about the coordinates or about the situation, that may be problematic later, and I feel like that's where these two will enter back into the story. So I guess we'll talk about my theory for that right now. My theory is that those pursuers probably had some sort of technology to phone in and be like, okay, we're pursuing the kids. They left this coordinate, which was very stupid of Ray, I still maintain. Very dumb of him to do. He should have just said, go to, and then something else, not to the coordinates, but go to M, and they would have known it was Minerva, and they would have known it was the coordinates, but then the demons still wouldn't have known. Just very dumb to put the coordinates on the trees. But anyway, to continue on, right, I think that it's possible that those pursuers could have been like, hello? We're going over here, and when they don't report back in, more pursuers will be sent after them. And that's why I think that this perfect little shelter that the kids seem to be in is not very long for this world, because backup is coming. And I feel like that's where these two will enter back into the plot, because say they're going throughout the forest and they're just like, do, and then they see a bunch of pursuers, and the pursuers are like, have you two seen some humans lately? And they're just like, no, why, right? Then they would hightail it back to the kids to warn them and rescue them, so he can continue on his dream of being able to eat the humans. If that happens, if they get reintroduced into the plot, I will never be able to look at this man in the same way. I just can't. Oh yeah, he just seems to go over there and kill them all. Him and the demon have some sort of conflict, and I'm pretty sure that that's him. So I'm pretty sure that those pursuers are dead. Now, does that mean that there are no more pursuers coming? No, of course there's more. Of course we're not done yet. So here's my continued theory, all right? This coordinate seems to be showing them where they are. This seems to be the line, the page, and the sentence or whatever, right? Or the page, the line, and then the 10th word, okay? And so he's typing in history, but what Ray was looking at earlier was actually 10 or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't 100. So that means that Ray was not figuring out this one. He was figuring out a separate one when he inputted hope, because the line, page, and word were different. It was still 10, but it was specifically, like, it wasn't 100. It was like 54, 38, 10 or something like that. And I can't remember if that's just the one that they used in the first episode to find all this out in the first place. Like, if that was the, what was it? The promise password? I'm not sure if that was the password that to find the coordinates, but I do think that that would show that these passwords were at least different. Whatever Ray was doing, it was different than doing this one. I don't know what exactly it was, but they're two different ones. It could have been the one from the first episode, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. So through that, it's possible that Ray has seen some sort of message that nobody else has gotten access to yet. And I think that that is an interesting idea, because how many more inputs are inside of this thing? Because this obviously needs to be done at the location, but what was the 54,380 one that he was looking at earlier? And then we get into the bunker, we see a bunch of CCTV cameras, so that's great, and I am getting very suspicious, and we'll talk about why, but I just wonder if a human being would have the means, right? I know people are like, I wonder if they would have the audacity. It's sort of like that, like I wonder if human beings would have the means to do all this, like to have security cameras and radios and furniture and canned food and, you know, the materials to supply a garden. Like, I just wonder, and I have bad thoughts about Minerva. I'm very sketchy about Minerva's identity, especially because we hear a couple episodes ago that this has been going on for 1,000 years. Now the question is were Minerva's books published or brought to the farms 1,000 years ago, or were they brought in the past 30 years? Because if it was within the past 30 years, that is a normal human lifespan. All I'm saying is that I'm wondering how he would have gotten the books into the farms only 30 years ago, if that was the case. If 30 years ago, this man, like, say he's 20 years old and now he's 50 or 60, wrote a bunch of books, put them into the farm, and has just been waiting for the day that these kids have escaped. That I find a little hard to believe. Obviously, things are resupplied, especially with wear and tear and things like that, but how would human books like this get into the farm in this capacity is my first thing, right? Because it doesn't seem like the demons and humans have constant contact other than the mothers, and then possibly a male equivalent role that we have not yet heard about, right? Like, we've talked about this before. I've wondered about, like, fathers and if there's some sort of role for that or what have you. I've wondered about that before, but I do think that it's a little weird that this random human would get these books inside of the library. If it was 1,000 years ago, I could see that as being acceptable, because I'm thinking that these have just been the same books for the past 1,000 years. Now, I don't know the logistics of that. Like, I don't know how you would preserve books for 1,000 years, but do you guys understand the distinction that I'm trying to make? And so I'm getting to be very suspicious that William is a demon. And I'm thinking that because if this has been going on for 1,000 years, he could be the one that has waited 1,000 years for any kids to escape, and they just hadn't. Now, really, there's two options: that this is some old man, right? If he's had the books like 30 years ago, somehow put into the farms, fine, whatever. It's some old man that is, like, basically dying. Like, when you're 60, you're not in the best of health. Like, I don't know how this man is getting through. But to have access to this amount of resources and this amount of substance, I guess, this amount of materials, I could only see you being a demon. I could not see you being a human, because this is ridiculous. Even if this was, like, one of the original, like, tryout farms, if that makes sense, like, before farms existed, maybe the demons were trying it out this way in this empty desert or something. I still find this to be, like, severely unrealistic for the capabilities of one human man, unless there's some sort of, like, human revolutionary group that's going around. But how would they even go around unless that they've made some path between the human world and the demon world, and they're bringing stuff from the human world back for this specific purpose? That I could actually understand, but it just seems very unrealistic for these resources to all just be here magically, and, like, you know, a bunch of TV monitors or radio, right? getting a little suspicious. So the first thing is unrealistic resources for a human to have cultivated, unless there's something else going on, unless demons are actively helping Minerva. And so I guess that is a nice segue into my second point, is that Minerva is either a demon or a human, but I feel like that it's also possible that he could be helped by demons. And so here's why. We already have, this character that we've grown to love. We already have Sunju, and he is saying like, okay, if there were wild, natural humans, I could actually eat them. And so you have to wonder, all of those things considered, he can't be the first religious demon to come up with such an idea. So here's what I'm thinking. Maybe William isn't a demon himself. Maybe he is human. But could he be a human being aided by demons for this specific purpose, to bring out some wild humans into circulation again? That is what I could think. That maybe either the human or demon Minerva was working with demons for this specific cultivation project. And so the demons supplied him with the TVs, the radio, the food, because they wanted this to happen, is that this was what was meant to happen all along. That one day a bunch of kids would escape and they would just enjoy the wild human. This is some sort of little experiment that was made by the demons, that Minerva, either he's a human or a demon, but he's not really who we think that he is. And that this is all basically some big science project that has been approved by like a king demon of some capacity. But the only problem with that is why the pursuers would be going after the kids. But maybe it's such a high level like secret project that nobody else knows about it, and so the pursuers were just doing their jobs. It also seems like this was some sort of cookie tin, and it has like molded over, and so that's kind of distressing as well. And so again, it seems like something is weird about this place, okay? Let's just put it that way. Something is weird about this house. And you don't need me to tell you, we see weird things later, especially with the help being scrawled on the wall. You have to wonder if maybe this is not what it seems to be in any way. And so we have the monitors, we know if demons or pursuers were here, they have the radio, they have a little note, and so somebody had to put the note here, first of all, right? Is somebody had to put the note right here. And so that's what I'm wondering, is like, who stuck this note on the wall, but who let the cookies go moldy, and who was here to even eat cookies in the first place? And so I feel like that there was a human group that escaped before them that had to run for some reason. And I feel like that my reasoning for that is the cupboard, and we'll talk about that. So we get some shots. We get the kitchen, and all the kids want to cook. We get the bath, and this seems like a very wholesome moment. It seems like we finally found a safe place, but I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. And again, the reason why I think that there were humans here before is because that this is a very big storage room to have so many empty spaces. Like, look at this, okay? No boxes here, big empty space there. I'm basically thinking that another house escaped, they had to flee, or they died for some reason, and we'll talk about that they were trapped here maybe for some reason, and that now this is just the leftovers. That's why Emma's like, the food's a little, questionable. Like, we don't have that much food, but we can go out and hunt. Like, why don't they have that much food? If Minerva was doing all of this for them and can bring 6 monitors, how hard is it to stock up the shelves a little better? I feel like that someone has already been in this food, and that's why the moldy cookies are out, because it seems like that there was a group here that was living their regular lives, that they opened the cookies one day, and they were drinking their tea one day, and there's even a teacup under the bed in the other scene, and that they were just living, and that they got attacked by something. That is what it seems like to me. And then we see even the garden, like, look at all these shovels just in the dirt. I don't know. And like, it seems like that there's even some sort of plant or, vine grabbing around it. And so I can almost imagine that this used to be full. There used to be plants here. But for some reason, if, a bunch of people had to run away, everything would have just withered off and died. And that's why you just have some branches over here. Like, I don't see why. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is just some random tree branch. I can't see why there would be a random tree branch there unless people already tried to grow stuff and they had to flee and everything in here died. Like the moldy cookies, right? There was nobody to take care of it. Because you even see, like, little patches of greenery, right? Like, it doesn't seem like, I don't think Minerva prepped this for them. I think somebody was already here before. You even see over here as well. You see little sprouts. Like, there are remnants of people having been here before, in my opinion. In the library, we see that. We get this like piano playing scene, and then we see a secret room. So I really like this too because they're introducing more secrets, because I think that's like when Promised Neverland is at its best, is the mystery element. And don't get me wrong, we have had mysteries the past couple episodes, but this is almost like we're getting reintroduced to a whole new house that has a whole new set of secrets, and it may not be very good secrets. Like, we have a secret room, and then we have a secret tunnel, and then like just this darkness. Like, it seems like that this could be some sort of escape route, and that could be foreshadowing for later if they need to escape. And so they talk about this, they have some food, and so I think that this is Ray saying the shelter is truly amazing, more than I expected, and he goes on to talk about why. And so this is where I'm thinking, right, that this is some sort of like the shoe's about to drop, this is too good to be true. There wasn't much food in the pantry, but there are animals outside. Again, why wasn't there that much food in the pantry? If Minerva has been prepping for this for 30 years or 1,000 years, he couldn't bring a little more canned food? Like, I think that that's a little suspicious to the fact that there are certain things going on here that seem to show signs of past human life. We can live here in this place. Yeah, it's the perfect hideout. See, the usage of that specifically, perfect hideout. I think perfect is the problem here, because we know as the audience, nothing is perfect. This is too good to be true, and we're just on the edge of our seat constantly waiting for something bad to happen. It's safe, it's clean, we can live here. What could go wrong? Clearly something did, or something will, in my personal opinion. I think that this is really just sketchy. Now, here's something else I found sketchy. Now, I don't know if they just cut some of this for time, because it would be sort of ridiculous for, you know, if there's like 10 houses, right, for all of them, it'd be like plant 1 here, plant 2, plant 3. Like, I don't know if they felt it was necessary to go through all of them, but here's my issue with the radio scene. And that is that I think plant 1 is Isabel. I think that we definitely hear her. I think I know that voice anywhere. I think that that was her, that was somebody, right? Plant 1, everything's normal. Plant 4, everything is normal. And so that's my thing, is that it seemed like it was only plant 1 and plant 4, and then they were like, oh, that's it, they're not gonna talk, right? It doesn't seem like, and again, maybe they just skipped for time or something, but they even mentioned, like, done already? Like, what was that? Like, that seemed a little weird, and so I'm like, okay, say there's 5 plants, okay? Plant 1, doing great. Plant 4, doing great. What's going on at 2 and 3 and 5, bro? Like, I'm just wondering about that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they cut it. If you guys think that they cut it for time in the manga, like, it is implied that they go through all the houses and they all just say that they're fine, and that's why they're like, oh, well, that was it. Everything's fine, I guess. If that's the case, if they just go through all of the houses and everything's fine, and that's why Dawn is just like, well, what the fuck was that? They just all said that they were fine and they logged off. How I read it was, oh, only house 1 and 4 responded. That's a little sketchy. I wonder what's happening at the other houses. And maybe plant 4 is going to be relevant for some sort of plot point later on, and that's why they decided to include that over, like, all of the... Again, if they're cutting something for time, they would reference plant 1, because that's us. I'm pretty sure that's their family. But plant 4 could be another house or another plant that we go see later on. Like, maybe that's the next group that they save. Maybe they realize that if they have to run away from this shelter, they start running and they realize that there's a house closer by than they expect, or even just scoping out this area, they realize that there's a house closer by than they expect. And so before going back for their siblings, maybe they decide to liberate that house. I think that that could be interesting. Now we know which frequency they're on. We could try again at this time in frequency and we could get information about the house, but like, all they said was everything's fine. And so I wonder if they know that maybe there could be people listening even over the radio, and so they've toned it down and they're just saying the bare minimum of information. So this scene was interesting because we really get left on 2 separate cliffhangers. We have this door in what I think is the garden that has a little Minerva symbol on it, and it's going down a dark hallway, and then we see this kid being traumatized by something. And again, I think that this is signs of human life. This is the biggest sign of human life, is my argument. But you see, again, just a cup or something under a bed, right? These weird little things, like people just ran out of here in a hurry and dropped what they were doing. And so you have this phone booth, and here's again what I'm thinking is, like, okay, I don't know anything. Let me just be clear. I don't know if the phone was made first before the radio, but I do wonder if this was like an original house of some variety. I wonder if this could have been where the mom of this house used to converse. Like if this is some sort of special farm of some sort. Like here's basically what I'm thinking. Like imagine that you have the farms and you have the ones that live in houses, but what if you have ones that are in the underground and then they go on the overground, and then in the overground they were free reign? Like what if there are, because I had this theory a couple episodes ago. And I said, I wonder if there are houses that operate like hunting grounds, right? You have the houses that take care of the kids and everything, like a zoo basically, except nobody comes to see them, like almost like a wildlife reserve in like a fucked up way, obviously. Like you have those ones, like natural wildlife reserve, you just let them do the thing, right? But then you also have places where there's, I don't know what you call them, but there's certain like areas and they're marked off to hunt on purpose. So, and I think that this is so fucked up, by the way. I don't understand hunting for sport. I don't support that at all. But you do have places in the world where it's just like sectioned off land and it's like you can hunt for sport in this particular area because we have made sure that the wildlife reproduces on a regular enough basis for you to do so. There are places like that. And so I wonder if this could have been one of those farms for people that don't like the idea of a human in a farm, like basically what Sun Jun said, like having a natural human area. I wonder if this could have been that humans could have gone to play up in the overworld because it's like, oh, there's no demons in the wasteland out here, but then there actually were demons and they were ready to hunt kids for sport. I know that sounds so fucked up, but that's the show. So I wonder if this could have been a telephone for the mom to contact if this was the house. Now, it could just be a telephone that Minerva put in there to talk to them, but I'm not sure. I also have a theory about the phone call, though. I don't think Minerva's alive. Here's my other thing. I know I was just like, he's a human, he's a demon, like that would imply that he's alive. My third theory is that Minerva is not alive. Is that this is just some sort of pre-recorded message that activated when the door was opened with a pen. Because how would he know that they walked into that room at the moment? Like basically there are two options, that this is an automated system or that he has some sort of sensors and security in the house and can actually see that they're there, right? I'm more inclined to think that Minerva is dead. Like, Minerva's the friends we made along the way. Like, Minerva is no longer a real person, but Minerva is almost like a position. And, like, each 50 years, a new human is put into the position of being a Minerva type situation, right? And that generation through generation, there's always a Minerva. That's what I'm imagining, actually. And that is how he could, I guess, not be a demon, but still be a human that has been around for 1,000 years to try and help kids out of the farms, is that he could be a concept more than he is like a real life person. He's like a role, like the role of William Minerva is subbed in, and maybe even kids from the houses, maybe that's the father role. We've talked about, you know, like, what if there are mothers and there are fathers? Like, what if the mothers do this, what do the fathers do? Like, what if this is what the fathers do for this purpose, for having the idea of, like, wild humans and things like that? So I wonder if William, I don't know, like, could William be Norman? Could, like, Norman be, like, the Minerva? And this is gonna sound so weird, guys, but I'm thinking about this because of Miraculous Ladybug, and basically they talk about in Miraculous, this is such, like, a non-important, like, don't worry if you haven't watched the show, it's not really a spoiler, but in Miraculous New York, there's this concept of these two superheroes, like, oh god, what are they called? One's Night Owl and the other is Sparrow, and the idea is that everyone in society thinks that Sparrow and Night Owl are immortal, but really they're just two people that have took on the mantle of Night Owl and Sparrow. So basically they don't have any special powers, they're just humans, but they've tricked society into thinking that they're actually like immortal, powerful, like almost like Superman type people in order to trick them into maintaining law and order. So you have Sparrow and Night Owl, and everyone thinks that they're just the exact same person over like the past last 100 years, but really they were just two guys, and then a guy and a girl, and then two girls, and then like this next guy and a guy, right? Like it's just people taking on the mask and pretending over time. And so what if Minerva's, like the William Minervas, are the father role? What if that's where Norman went? Is that Norman didn't die, but he was the Minerva all along? And what if the purpose of this is two things? Like, what if Norman was chosen as the Minerva, and the role of the Minerva is basically to try to train the humans to be smart so that they can have the biggest brain, and then the biggest brain would go into the king. Like, they want the humans to be smarter, basically. That they want humans to be smarter because then they'll be tastier, but the only way to get them to be smarter is to exercise these types of critical thinking skills for an escape. So the escape humans would be the best ones, and then you have the Minerva, who is the father figure. The mothers basically take care of them, but the fathers try to get them to, like, you know, push the boundaries and get them to escape. It could be like a commentary on those sort of rules as well, right? And so you have the role of the fathers. Like, what if Norman took up that role, but now Norman is like, well, I'm gonna change the position of a Minerva, and instead of making these humans escape for the satisfaction and the hunger of the demons, we're actually going to break the thread, and we're actually going to escape this time, right? It's almost like the mothers, like instead of being compliant and just following this like the mothers are, I wonder if maybe it could be as if the mothers started to rebel. Like, imagine, you know, something like that. And so what if in this case there could be like a father role and Norman has taken it? But that would be so dangerous after everything that Norman did. But at the same time, Isabel offered Emma the role of a mother even after everything that she did. And so it doesn't seem like that they were particularly opposed because the kids were trying to escape, right? It seemed like, hey, Emma, I know you're trying to do the bad things, but I can make you a mother, and then, you know, you can continue on living, right? Like, she offered that to her. And so I wonder, could Norman have been given the same offer despite the bad things that they were all clearly doing, because they didn't think that escape was a reality? And so maybe at the last minute, like, Emma was offered the mother role, Norman was offered the father role, and the father role was actually this Minerva role for this specific purpose. I don't know. That's like a very crack theory of mine, but that's my theory. And then we have this room, which is terrifying, and you seem to have some sort of art supplies here, right? You have a bunch of, you know, brushes, I think, and some water, and then you have this bedroom and, like, these empty beds, and so you just have help over and over and over again. And we actually see some different things in this room. We see a drawing of a little girl. It's very hard to tell, but we see drawings of people. Then we also see days marked off, so I wonder if this could be days that maybe somebody was hiding down here at some point. And I feel like that, I don't know, like, I think that there's a couple of different theories here, and I feel like that says someone, maybe, like, someone help me. I've also turned the brightness all the way up just so you guys can see. But yeah, this looks like S-O-M, and then maybe like some, like someone, like somebody like doing it in a like a drawn out way. Then you have all the help, you have the markers, right? And so I'm thinking that there were kids that were stuck in here for some reason. Maybe my original theory was right, and that this was some sort of like hunting farm, and that some kid was hiding in here day after day, waiting for the demons above to leave or something. It just seems like a very weird thing. And you think, though, if Minerva was a demon, would he not like be like, oh, well, you know, maybe we shouldn't let the kids see that. Let's go in with some paint rollers, paint this up. Like, I feel like that Minerva maybe didn't want them to, like, why would Minerva want them to see this if Minerva was working with the bad guys? This makes it seem more likely that Minerva may be on the side of the good guys all along, but something happened to what, like, whichever people were in here. Like, this was meant to be seen for some reason. I think that if this was the work of the demons or even Minerva, they would have just covered this up with some paint. Like, why keep this? The only purpose for keeping it must have been either that they didn't know about it, because it doesn't seem like Minerva has been here for a while, but then there's also the letter on the wall. And so if the letter on the wall was here, you have to think they either wanted them to see this, like Minerva was like, well, right? He was just like, ah, okay. Or he didn't know about it, right? And so I feel like that's sort of interesting, is that this room is going to be a very big source of mystery. And again, with the tallies, it's like somebody was locked in here. And so I wonder if somebody was locked in here while everyone else had perished because of the demons, because the demons had found them. And so then Emma gets this call. This is William Minerva, and that is the cliffhanger that we are left off of to reconvene last week. So what were our theories? That Norman is a Minerva, that Minerva is not a person, but some sort of like concept that is filled in, like the fathers and the mothers, that this is all some sort of conspiracy, that this used to be a farm, that this maybe still is a farm, and that they are currently just now the new farm subjects. Like, it's basically just a farm, but in a different way, like a free-range hunting farm or something like that. That's either what this used to be or what it now currently is, and that they're just filling the quota for this free hunting farm. I don't know. Is this like an actual underground? How did Minerva make the underground? I don't know. We just have a lot of questions. I think there's a lot of suspicious things going on, and it's mostly how they got the resources to do this without any demon approval or any demon assistance. And the idea of the demons assisting them, because the demons obviously assisted for the houses, so if this is also a structure, like we could say, oh, well, if the demons helped with all the houses, maybe the demons made this originally too. Now, whether or not Minerva, it was made with him, or Minerva just found it, like this is an abandoned farm and he thought that this would be a good place to keep them, right? Those could be two different things. Like, maybe the answer is like, oh yeah, this used to be a farm, but they don't use it anymore, so you guys can hide in here. Like, maybe it was a farm, but it's not anymore, and that explains all the technology that's inside of it. But if he built it with his own two hands, you have to wonder where he got the stuff from, right? So there's a lot of interesting questions there, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the video.